The 3-second violation, otherwise known as 3 in the key, is one of the top 3 comments that you get from coaches, players, parents, or fans at a basketball game. There's "that's a foul," "traveling," and 3 in the key ref that tend to be verbalized out in a game. What we'll be looking at is 2 things. One is the small details that most regular fans, coaches, players don't realize or know about the rule, and then 2, how advantage-disadvantage plays in this rule. A player shall not remain in the opponent's restricted area for more than 3 consecutive seconds while his team is in control of the live ball. So before we get into the front court portion of this, it says more than 3 consecutive seconds. So when a player's at 2 seconds, that doesn't mean 3 in the key. When they're at 3, it doesn't mean 3 in the key. It's more than 3 seconds. That's just the base rule of it. Now when we talk about control of a live ball in the front court, that's when you cross the half court line and enter the half court that you're attacking. So the hoop that you're attacking, once you pass that half court line, you are now in your front court. So if a teammate is dribbling in the back court, maybe there's pressure just bringing up the ball, that 3 in the key does not exist. It can't occur because you're not in the front court. So any player can stand in the key for as long as they want. It doesn't start until the player has crossed the half court line, which means they've entered their front court. A key definition here is control of a live ball. And what that means is that if a shot comes off the rebound but a player is still in the key, we can't have a 3 in the key. No one has possession anymore, but the ball is live. So it could be tipped around by offense, but it's only once possession is gained by having 2 hands on the ball that 3 in the key commences again. And this happens all the time when a player shoots the ball in the key or misses a shot or tips a rebound and you have people screaming for 3 in the key. Well, 3 in the key does not exist anymore because no one has control of the ball. So a key point to remember on that is a shot for a field goal means that 3 in the key resets because no one has control anymore. When it mentions game clock is running, it's basically focusing on inbounds, whether it's a baseline or sideline inbound, that you can't have a 3 in the key because the clock is stopped, nothing's going on. Now looking at allowances, there are situations where someone might be in the key longer than 3 seconds and what we would allow for them to get out so they don't get a violation. So that could be someone making an attempt to leave it, whether they fell on the ground, they're trying to get up and get out, or they're trying to get out and they got bumped by 2 players or 1 player and is preventing them from leaving the restricted area. It could also be when your teammate's in an active shooting and the ball is just leaving the hands or just left the player's hands, even though you're past the 3 seconds, then it gets negated. And then we also have this freeze count. So if you're at 2 seconds, or as it says, less than 3 consecutive seconds, and the player dribbles in the restricted area while they're trying to set up their shot, we will allow them an opportunity to commit their move or finish their move and score. However, if they abuse that leeway from the frozen count, then they will be hit with the violation. And finally, to establish themselves outside the restricted area, player must put both feet on the floor outside the restricted area, which you can find in the FIBA rulebook, which is the key, the basketball key, where 3 in the key occurs. They have to put both feet on the outside, and if they do 1 foot and lift the other, that's not a big deal, simply because they have cleared the key and they're not officially in the key, since 1 foot's outside and the other one's in the air. They're not in the key. In order to be in the key, your feet have to be in the key, not your arm or your head or your body hovering over the key. You have to be physically stepped into the key. I mention this because some people believe that if a body part is hovering over it, that it should count as a 3 in the key, if someone could be bigger or stronger than them. However, if your feet aren't physically in the key, you can't have established position in the key, and you cannot have a 3 seconds if you're not established in the key. So as you can see, 1 foot is planted, so established position in the key. He still has not left it, he's circling around, still in the key, doesn't really clear with 2 feet, and stays in. By rule, he technically doesn't clear the key with both feet. However, this is where we include the advantage-disadvantage principle, where he's not really gaining any advantage, he's not gaining a deep seal, he's just floating around and we don't need to interrupt the game flow to call this violation. Offense has an advantage by being under the rim in a deep seal for more than 3 seconds. There is no attempt to leave the key. Had the defender pinned the whole time, you need to get that violation. Similar to the last play, the offensive player is going to have a huge advantage being right in front of the rim with the deep seal. Defender is pinned, can't get around, and is placed at a disadvantage. So we have to have a 3 in the key count right on the catch when she hits that 3-second mark. This player enters the key, ball screen, still stays in the key, catches it, takes a dribble, turns the ball over. If they were not to go up after that dribble, take another dribble, it's very possible that a 3 in the key violation would occur or be called at that moment. However, officials allowed him an opportunity to finish his move and freeze the count.